Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I talk about all things nail polish. And this video, I'm just like, normally when I start these videos, I'm holding like maybe a bottle of nail polish, maybe it's some kind of nail accessory, but in this case I don't know, I just had to say how strange it is that I'm just holding this magnetic lab stirrer just like as a thing. But yeah, for those of you who may not be aware of the magnetic glass bead craze that has been sweeping across the nail polish community over the past couple months. It is a new type of magnetic nail polish effect where it looks as though your nails have this like glass bead that travels up and down the length of the nail, compared to the velvet effect that's more of like a side to side. I've already posted one video review for a product by 5D Print Factory that I did, I think that was last week or so. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video in case you all want to go back and watch that one, because this will be a multi-part series here where that was part one of a certain product that's being used to get this glass bead effect. Part two is, like I said, it feels really weird that I'm just holding a magnetic lab stirrer for whatever reason. And I also have received in the mail the third product that I'm going to be reviewing, which is the magnetic glass bead tool from SJ3 Designs. So I'll be recording a separate video for that as well. And then my plan is to, once I have determined for each of these three products what the best like setting or configuration is to get the best effect, I'm going to put the three of them head to head and have that be a video, so be on the lookout for that. But let's talk about this one. This is from it says JOANLAB. I'm not sure if it's like JOANLAB or JOANLAB. I'm just gonna say JOANLAB magnetic stirrer. If you're someone who actually does use something like this for its intended purpose, it would be that you would have these little like magnetic stirrers that you could put into like a beaker or something like that. You put it on top of this, you turn it on. It was already turned on, but it's not plugged in. You turn it on, and then there's magnetic forces that will allow the spinning to happen there. Now, some people over the past couple months have figured out that even if you are not a scientist or using this for that kind of scientific purpose, this can also be used to create that magnetic glass bead effect. And I've had this for, I looked at my purchase history. I bought this off of Amazon. I bought this about 2 months ago, but I think I just kind of plugged it in and turned it on once just to make sure it was working, but didn't do anything with it because I just, I don't know. I wanted to make sure that when I did it, I did so in a way where I could really be present with it and take the time to figure out which settings work best and so on. And so now here we are. I want to show this to you just from this view for right now, just so you can see like the size of this here. It also does come with a cord that is about, I'm just going to unplug this here. It's about this long, folded in half here. This is one thing I really like about this product, that it has a length that's really good to be able to have like a lot of flexibility with where you plug it in. I'm just going to put this to the side for now. And as far as the settings go, you've got the this dial here, and it's not that it like clicks into place or anything like that, but rather it just kind of, you can dial it up or dial it down. So what I'm thinking that I'll probably do, to be in accordance with the previous test that I did for the 5D Print Factory product, where I did like a low, medium, medium speed, and high speed. I think that's what I'll most likely do with this as well. See how it goes when I do low speed, then adjust to mid, then adjust to high. And yeah, what I'm personally looking for with this will be a number of things, like how well does that effect come across in the finished manicure. Also looking to see how realistic would it be for me to want to actually use this as a regular product. In the previous video that I mentioned of the first review of the 5D Print Factory tool, there were some considerations that I brought up in that video that I didn't think about going into the video, but through the process of testing it, I realized, oh, these are some things that may prevent me from wanting to use it as much as I thought that I would. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start testing with this. We'll see. I'm excited to see how this goes because I know a lot of you have been commenting about your interest in this, and hopefully we'll get some good results that I can share with you. So let's head over to my nail table. Okay, so I'm over here at my nail desk right now, and here is a closer look at the JOANLAB magnetic stirrer. As with the 5D Print Factory tool that I previously reviewed, I just want to give the disclaimer that any kind of like scratches or blemishes that you see on here, like this random drop of what I think is probably top coat, that's because I've had this just kind of laying on the floor next to my nail desk for the past couple months. So that's all on me. None of this is going to affect my ability to use this, but I just want to put that out there to let you know that if you do decide to purchase this, yours will be completely unblemished. So here's a closer look at the size of it, and you can see up close what I meant about this being a dial. There's no like preset notches in here. It's all just like, you know, you can turn it on and it goes all the way around to there at max. Okay. What else do I want to point out here? Also, here's where you would have the plug going into the back. And I will say that for me, the way that this is set up, it does make it seem like it's something that I, at least so far, can see myself using from a comfort standpoint. Like, I didn't really have to go too far out of my way to find an outlet that this could realistically plug into. So far, so good. And yeah, I think that's the last piece that I want to highlight about this itself. You know, that's really the one and only setting that you've got down there. So now let me go into my testing process. For those of you who may not have watched the first video, I mentioned that the magnetic polish that I decided to use for testing is ILMP's, let's get some focus here. That's not the name of the polish, but that would be a good polish name. ILMP's Jet Setter. And this is one that I chose because it is a polish that I know for a fact to be very responsive and reactive from a magnetic standpoint. And that's something that I think is going to be important, especially as it comes to wanting to compare the differences between various speed settings in this case. And I have pre-swatched out over here 3 swatch sticks that I'm going to bring into focus here. I have one for slow, mid speed, and fast speed. And I've put on each of these 1 coat of a black cream nail polish so that it's going to be a lot easier for me to see the results of magnetizing Jet Setter right away. Jet Setter is a nail polish that if you were to just wear it on its own and not over any type of like cream polish, it would normally take about 3 coats of that to get to opacity. So in this case, we've got black to start with. That's going to make our testing a lot easier. I should also mention that I thought about whether or not I want to use this video as a chance to do a comparison to the result of the 5D Print Factory one, just to kind of give like a little sneak peek there. But I think that I'm going to hold off on doing any product comparisons until the final one, because you know, if you've ever done any kind of work with magnetic nail polish, you most likely know that magnetic nail polish does tend to disperse a little bit. I mean, anywhere from a little bit to a lot over time. And since it's been, I think, about a week since I tested the 5D Print Factory tool, I wouldn't want it to be the case where I used that swatch stick from a week ago and then compare it to something I'm doing now and so on. So we're, for this one, just going to focus on the JOANLAB. So yeah, I think that's all of the setup that I want to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, yes, the last thing I'll say is to show where I've decided that I'm going to use as the rough markings for testing. I'm going to have, I think, let me see, it goes all the way up to there. So, and it starts there. So I'm gonna say, like, here will be my slow speed. Then if I go over to this corner, that's gonna be enough of a difference to be mid speed. And then down here is going to be my high speed. At this point here, I'll also actually stop talking for a second so that you all can hear the difference in the sound that this makes. So because I know that that's also another factor that some of you may want to take into consideration when you're choosing whether or not to buy this. So here's how it sounds like. Why am I saying here's how it sounds like when it's off? Because that obviously it's not going to make any sound. But anyway, here's how it sounds when it's off. And here's how it sounds at what I'm gonna call the low speed. I'm actually gonna put that down here. Here's how it sounds when it's at the medium speed. And here's how it sounds when it's at the high speed. Okay, I'm gonna turn it back off for now. Okay, I hopefully, when I'm editing this, that sound should come through. If it doesn't come through, I'll just describe it and say, like, it just sounds, even at the highest speed, at the highest, it sounds like the amount of sound that you get, that you would hear if you were to, like, if someone's cell phone were in, like, deep in their pocket or deep in their bag, and it's like a little bit across the room and you hear it vibrating. It's like that. It's noticeable, but it's not overly loud. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and also pull out my trusty timer here. I mentioned in my previous video that to make this extra scientific, I want to make sure that I'm being as accurate as possible with the timing of this. I generally magnetize my nails for 1 minute per coat, but when I do this with my own hands, I don't necessarily use a timer, but for today's purposes, I will want to make sure that I'm getting this as close and as accurate as possible. Okay. Now I really am going to get into testing. So I'm going to shake up my Jet Setter nail polish because it's been sitting for the past week or so. And I'm going to put, I know some people said that they've been doing this where they like put their hand over the stirrer and then they paint their hand over that. But I'm just going to do it here. Got that. Ooh, there's a magnet already. Okay. And setting this to low, setting my 1 minute. Okay, it's been a minute. And this is the result of 1 minute at the what I was calling the, actually let me turn this off here, I don't know if it might still be magnetizing. This is 1 minute at what I'm calling the slow speed setting. And you know, I don't know what I was expecting to see as I like had it here. I don't know. Well, actually I do know what I was expecting. I thought that like it might go zooming back and forth or something, and when it wasn't, it was just sitting there. I'm like, this is kind of boring. Why is it not doing anything? But no, it's because it was doing something, but it was just kind of having it sit there. So this is not bad. I like that. And for those of you who've never used Jet Setter before, this magnetic polish, hopefully you can see now why I chose this one, because it is very responsive, very reactive. Okay, so this was our slow speed. Put that to the side. I'm now going to do the, let's see, next I'm going to do the mid and the fast. And because I know this can take a little bit of time, I'm going to do those off camera, and then I'll be back so that we can do some comparisons. I'm back with the results that we have so far, comparing the slow, mid speed, and fast speed to one another. At this point, as I'm like wiggling these back and forth, I would say that they do look pretty similar for the most part. Like, I'm not seeing a whole lot of variation. If anything, the one that's at fast speed might have what I would describe as like the largest glass bead compared to the results of slow and mid. However, I do want to take the next step that I typically do with magnetic nail polish and apply the DRK Magic Effect, which is used to help provide a more crisp magnetic result. And my best advice when you're using this kind of product is to do this with, when you put this on, you want to remagnetize the polish in the way that you did before you put it on. And then you also want to remagnetize it again when you go back and add in your top coat. In my case, the top coat that I use with magnetic nail polish is this Sally Hansen Advanced Hard as Nails Strengthening Top Coat. I was trying to remember the other day when I showed this in the other magnetic review video, why it is that I don't recommend, or why I don't personally use the Sally Hansen Quick Dry Top Coat that's in the red bottle. And I think it's because, if I remember when I tried using that one, it felt a little bit too watery to me, and it didn't give as shiny of an effect as I wanted. Whereas I remember the first time I started using this, it was because I was out at like a Five Below or something, and I was looking for the Sally Hansen in the red bottle, but they didn't have it. So I was just like, I need top coat. And I wasn't just like standing there in the middle of Five Below whining, but like in my mind, I was. And so I just picked this one up, thinking it would just be a placeholder. And it ended up being way better than the red bottle one that I was looking for. So anyway, if any of you are looking for a good quick dry or a good top coat to use with magnetic nail polish, this is the one that I recommend. So what I'm going to do next is go back off camera in order to do 2 additional rounds of magnetizing for each of these. So like what I'm going to do is starting with the slow one, I'm going to put on the Magic Effect, then put this back on top of the stirrer for another minute. Then right after that, I'm going to put the top coat on and put this back on top of the stirrer for another minute, and then that will be what's considered like the final product for this one. So gonna go ahead and do that, and then I will be back. I just wanted to briefly pop back in for a second to show the difference between how it looks once I have done what I mentioned about applying the DRK Magic Effect plus a top coat. Also, by the way, with the top coat I mentioned, I think I forgot to mention that part of why I choose that one is that it does not have toluene in it. And in my experience, using a toluene-free top coat helps your magnetic effect to remain in place after, instead of it being dispersed. Okay, so on the left here, this is how it looks after I have applied DRK Magic Effect and then magnetize for a minute, and then apply the top coat, magnetize for a minute, versus on the right, the mid-level speed, as an example. This has only gone through having the jet setter applied plus, just magnetizing that for a minute. I really want to focus in on this here because remember when I mentioned that the slow and mid, they looked very similar, but if you look at them like here, you can see that difference there. And I realize that not everyone likes working with magnetic nail polish, one of the main reasons being the time that's required to do it. However, I strongly recommend that if you are going to take the time to work with magnetic nail polish, highly encourage you to use a product like the DRK Magic Effect to get a better, a more crisp effect compared to what you get if you just magnetize it on its own. Okay, back to finishing up these other two sticks. I'm back with the results of how these swatch sticks look after doing those 2 additional minutes that I mentioned for each stick. 1 minute for putting on the DRK Magic Effect and remagnetizing on the stirrer, and then another minute for putting on the top coat and magnetizing over the stirrer. And here's what we've got: slow on the left, mid speed in the middle, and fast on the right. I think they all look still very similar, but I can tell that of these 3, the fast speed does tend to have the most diffused result to it, which I want to mention again. This is something I made sure to say in the 5D Print Factory video, that I think that there may be times where having a more spread out magnetic look may in fact be the kind of end result that you're looking for. But if it's the case that you're going for something that's tighter, more crisp, that because I needed to have some kind of standard of, okay, what am I measuring this against? That's going to be my standard for this particular video. But knowing that if you are looking for something that's more spread out, it seems that if you were to use the magnetic stirrer for this, going with the fast option would most likely give you that result. So if I bring this down to the slow and mid speeds, I mean, they look interchangeable. They really, really do. I mean, if I were to even just like not close my eyes, but like if I were to try to mix these up and just look at them and try to pick out which one is which, I probably couldn't tell you which one because they are that similar. I will say that if I had to make a decision about the overall experience of using this tool and to factor that into which one would I use to get the result that I want, knowing that these two are so similar, I would probably, I mean, like, I was gonna say I would go with the slow speed just because it gives the kind of result that I'm looking for, but also has a quieter sound to it. But like I'm also seeing that the mid-speed one does seem to like just ever so slightly have a tighter look to it. But then again, it could all come down to just so many different variables of like how thick of a coat I put on with the polish and so on. It's hard to say, but I think my winner for this experiment is going to have to be the slow speed. And I really like how this turned out. I mean, it does look like a little, like these little colorful balls of color, and just against this stark black background with the hollow that's also in Jet Setter. I really like this a lot. And what I want to do next will be to go and do this with using my actual hand on top of the lab stirrer, because I want to add in that nuance with this review as well. Like, seeing how this goes on a swatch stick is one thing, but I want to make sure that this is something that I can actually feel comfortable with using. Are there any considerations that you all will want to know as you're using that? So I will be back shortly once I've got that set up, and we'll see how this goes. I'm back and ready to test this out over my actual hand. And as much as I love this color that I've put on, I'm okay with changing it up for the purpose of science. The color that I'm going to be using today as my magnetic polish for testing is Crack Polish Air Apparent. I decided to try and use a different polish for like the testing on my hand, just to get a sense of how other nail polishes work with this effect as well. And so I haven't yet done this on my actual fingers, but you know, as I'm putting my fingers down here to see how that would go, for these four, this feels fine. The only finger that I have some concerns about the possible positioning of is my thumb, because like, I mean, like, you can't see, but off camera, I'm like leaning completely way over to the right side to be able to be in this position right now. And my left elbow is like all the way up in the air, and that's not comfortable. So I'm not going to do that. I think, like, if you see here, just the natural way of putting it down here for me, it like, when I paint my nails, I don't really have to worry about my hand being completely flat. And, you know, it may not be the case that it needs to be totally flat for this as well, but I did just want to point that out as a thing that I'm noticing. I'll also say that I know from reading other people's experiences with this, with the magnetic stirrer for the glass bead effect, some people have mentioned that what they will do is apply the polish to their nail and then hold their nail upside down over the stirrer, with the idea being that because the polish in that case would be placed closer to the magnet, they're hoping that that would give them a better result. I will say that for myself, holding my hand upside down like that for any amount of time can start to feel quite uncomfortable. And so for that reason, I won't be doing that version of testing for this. But if any of you have tested that out on your own and have any results to share, I'd be happy to hear that and to hear how that compares. So, yeah, I think I'm going to start with my, I'm going to start with my index finger, since it's like right there. I mean, all of my fingers are right there, but that one was like really right there. So I'm going to put the polish on top of mine, and please ignore any excess polish around the edges right now. I do tend to like clean this up with acetone like after I've done magnetizing. So I'm going to let this go for about a minute here. I'm using the relatively slower setting that I was talking about earlier, and then I will speed up this portion in editing and then come back once that minute is up. Okay, it's been about a minute and I just finished cleaning up the edges there where there is some excess polish. So, okay, I like this. I mean, this looks like a really cool effect. I still do want to go through and at least put on the DRK Magic Effect. I'm not sure if I'll end up doing top coat for this, because now that I've changed up one of my nails, I want to change up all of them to match, but I do want to see the effect on how this will go. Okay, that was overall, I would say it was comfortable. And with it being at the relatively lower speed setting, that, you know, the lower the speed, the softer the hum of the magnetic stirrer. It wasn't anything that was so loud that I'm just like being affected by that with from a sensory standpoint. So now what I'm going to do is off to the side here, I'm applying a coat of the crack polish Heir Apparent to my thumbnail because I want to see how that's going to go. If it's the case, like I mentioned, that like what's comfortable for me and my thumb is to, by the way, I just turned the stirrer on here, so that's going as I'm talking. If for any, I guess I'll say like for any glass bead magnetic tool that I'm going to use, it's got to be something where I feel that whatever I'm doing is something that is comfortable to me. Like I'm not going to want to use it if I need to feel like I'm going out of my way to make that effect happen. So far, I mean, it's hard to tell if anything is going to be very different from, say, my index finger because of this different angle that I'm resting it at, but I'm gonna speed up this part and speed up in editing, not speeding up with the stirrer, and I'll come back once it's been about a minute so we can look at it and see. Okay, it's been about a minute and I just finished cleaning up the parts that were like off on the side. Okay, so that's how it looks with my index finger. Like I can clearly see that like turquoise looking glass bead that's up there in the upper left part of the nail. And on my thumb, it's not as strong of an effect there. And I think that's probably because of the angle at which I was resting my my thumb. Like I said, it wasn't going to be completely flat, and yeah, even as I just go like that, I mean, if I compare that to the velvet magnet that I use when I'm doing the velvet effect, this is from SJ3 Designs. The way that I like being able to do this is like, even though this is something that's like flat on the bottom and you can, if you want, like put it on a table, you don't have to. One of the things I love about this is that I can just put my thumb in there, and like when I'm magnetizing my thumb, I just use my index finger as like a little table and I'm able to hold it steady within there. So, and for that reason, when I want the velvet effect on my thumb, I don't have to worry about like, oh no, my thumb is at a different angle. Am I still gonna get the uniform effect that I want? Because I still can. But that doesn't appear to necessarily be the case here. So before I make any final determinations here, what I'm gonna do is go back and put the DRK Magic Effect on both of these and remagnetize them, and then I'll come back and show what that result looks like. Okay, I am back after going through back to both nails and putting on the DRK Magic Effect and remagnetizing each one for 1 minute. And yeah, so as expected, this did give a more crisp magnetic effect here that even for Heir Apparent, which part of why I chose that one is that it has a slightly more subtle magnetic effect compared to other ones that are in my collection. But even so, it still comes through here in this effect and how you can see that color shift that goes from the top to the bottom of the nail. I really, really like that. And over here with my thumb, which once again, after I put the DRK Magic Effect on, the most comfortable position for me to use for this, oops, it was still on there. That is something to keep in mind. Make sure that you turn it off after you finish using it, just so that you're not continuing to remagnetize things that you're done with. But yeah, I did have it resting here like this off to the side because that's what's most comfortable for me. I would imagine that if I were to go in and use my left my other left, my right thumb, it would be very similar. Like there's no, I'm just like looking and seeing, is there any position where, I mean, I could go like that from the side. My right thumb doesn't feel too uncomfortable like that, but my left one, I don't know. Like I could do that, but it's something that would make it where the process of doing my nails would feel a little bit more tedious. One of the things I love about doing my nails is that it's self-care time for me. It's relaxation time for me. And if I'm over here having to like bend my arm in really strange ways, like I'm playing a game of Twister just so that I could get an intended effect, I don't think that I would want to do that. But in this case, with what I've got here, even though I wasn't really seeing as much of that glass bead effect from when I just put on Heir Apparent on its own, I do feel like I'm seeing more of it after putting on the DRK Magic Effect and then remagnetizing. And this, once again, both of these were done at the slow speed on this magnetic stirrer. So I'm just want to show you these again real quick. I'm gonna shift over to giving my final thoughts on this in just a second. So now for some final thoughts. Before I get into my final opinions, I realized that I forgot to give the details about when I ordered this, how much exactly I paid, how long it took to arrive, and so on. So I just checked my notes, and I ordered this off of Amazon on August 13th, and I paid a total of $35.79 for it. It arrived at my house the following day on August 14th. So, I mean, if you are wanting to have something where you can try out this glass bead effect and have it be shipped to you like right away, you probably, this would be one of your best bets for that, knowing how quickly you can get that shipped to you through Amazon. And as I'm looking at my nails here, the two that I did the glass bead effect on with this, I do like how they turned out. I feel that most likely it's going to be a matter of me getting a sense of which of the magnetic polishes in my collection are ones that I prefer more in the glass bead style versus velvet versus cat eye and so on. Because for example, there are some polishes I have that I will only ever do them in the cat eye style and never in velvet, because I so strongly prefer how they look with that cat eye style, and vice versa. There's some that I only ever do with velvet and never in cat eye, just because I don't prefer that look to it. So I think that that's probably how it's going to be now that this glass bead effect is being added in there as well. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if some of these may end up being like, if I like how it looks in the velvet style, I'll probably like how it looks with glass bead as well, just because of how similar those color shifts can be with these two styles. So I wanted to add that out there as well for those of you who've also been following along with this kind of testing yourself. If it's the case that you are seeing the results of the glass bead effect and it's not really turning out to be what you were hoping for, my advice would be to try a different magnetic polish. I mean, I do like Heir Apparent, this polish that I have on these two fingers, as a polish in general, but for the glass bead effect, I think I might prefer it in the cat eye style versus and actually, you know what, I take that back. As I'm thinking about this now and thinking about how that jet setter was looking in the glass bead style, I feel like that's actually closer to how jet setter looks in the cat eye style than it does in the velvet effect. Whereas when I had tested out Heir Apparent in the velvet effect versus cat eye, this looks more like, at least in my test, it looks more velvet to me. So the short version of all this is I'm kind of contradicting myself in a lot of ways. So, which is, I guess, part of the fun of experimenting with new things and trying to get a sense of what is what and how things will, like, which data points you can have that will help you to make the decisions about how you want to go about doing your nails. And I would say my final verdict for this JOANLAB magnetic stir is that I do recommend it. I mean, it is something that it's very compact. It's not going to take up your entire table. It's something where you can unplug the power cord when you're not using it so that you can easily roll that up and store it away somewhere if you don't want it to be a permanent fixture on your nail table. And I mean, probably don't travel with it. I mean, not to say that you can't travel with it, but I just got back from a weekend trip, and if you've ever been flagged by TSA for something, you know how it can be, where you're just trying to justify why you have certain things in your luggage. And I can't imagine trying to talk with a TSA agent if they pulled me out of the line and they're like, ma'am, what is this? Why you have this? And then, yeah, so I don't know. Or if you have traveled with one of these, let me know how that went for you. So yeah, what's going to come up next for me? Not immediately next, because there are at least one or two other videos that I'm gonna be shooting between this one and the third one in this series. I'm going to film the video review for the SJ3 Designs glass bead magnetic tool. Now that I've received that one in the mail, I'll do the same kind of approach of giving a complete overview of how that product works for within just itself. And then after that, I will have had the best results of all three of these magnetic products so that I can film a fourth video in that series to do more of a comparison between the tools and really help you all decide which one's going to be maybe the best option for you. So be on the lookout for that. And this was a fun experiment. I do see myself using this tool again in the future, but like I mentioned, it's really going to be a matter of me ensuring that I am doing so with the polishes in my collection that I consider to be the best for the glass bead effect. So I'm looking forward to doing some more experimenting with that. Thank you all so much for watching this video as always, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.